Russia and Europe, in Israel, the Middle East. What can you say about how we in the 21st century can avoid a global war, avoid an escalation towards more conflict, more war?
Look, COVID exposed the limitations of every nation. No matter how much we consider ourselves as a great nation, no matter how progressive we think we are, or how scientifically advanced we believe we've become, everyone has their own way of looking at things. In the end, we all found ourselves on the same ground. Every country in the world faced this reality. At that time, it felt like the world would learn from it, that we would move toward a more unified world. Just as a geopolitical order emerged after World War II, many thought something similar would happen post COVID. But unfortunately, instead of moving towards peace, the world became even more fragmented, ushering in a period of uncertainty. And the wars have only made it worse. I believe that modern wars are no longer just about resources or interests. Today, I see so many kinds of conflicts happening. Physical battles often get discussed, struggles are happening in every domain. International organizations that were once powerful have become almost irrelevant. No real reforms are happening. Institutions like the UN are failing to fulfill their roles. People who disregard international laws and rules continue to act freely, and no one can stop them. In such situations, the prudent choice for everyone is to let go of conflict and move toward cooperation. And a development-driven approach is the way forward. Expansionism will not work. As I've said before, the world is interdependent and interconnected. Every nation needs one another. No one can stand alone. And from all the different forums I attend, one thing is clear. Everyone is deeply worried about these conflicts. We can only hope that peace is restored very soon.
No. I'm not very
You
good at
keep
this.
looking at your watch.
No. I barely know what I'm doing, Prime Minister. I'm not very good at this. Okay. You've been through your career and through your life, you have seen a lot of difficult situations in the history of India. One of them, the 2002 Gujarat riots. They're one of the most challenging periods of modern Indian history, when there was violence between Hindu and Muslim citizens of the Gujarat that led to over 1,000 deaths. It revealed the intensity of religious tensions in the region. You were, as you mentioned, Chief Minister of Gujarat at the time. Looking back, what lessons do you draw from that time? And we should also say that India's independent Supreme Court upheld twice, in 12 and 22, that you had no involvement in the violence of the 2002 Gujarat riots. But I was wondering if you could speak to the broad lessons you draw from that time.
Look, regarding your first point, when you humbly said that you don't know what you're doing, that you're not good at this, I disagree and personally feel you've put in tremendous care. You've done extensive research and have dived deeply into every small detail. So, I think you've done very well. And all the efforts you put in during our conversation and in all your conversations are appreciated. And rather than simply interviewing me, I feel you're trying to deeply understand India. That's why I strongly feel there's genuine honesty in your sincere effort to uncover the truth. And for that sincere approach, I genuinely congratulate you.
Thank you.
Regarding the earlier events that you mentioned, like the 2002 riots in Gujarat, I'd like to paint you a clearer picture of the 12 to 15 months leading up to that so you can fully understand the atmosphere of that time. For instance, take December 24, 1999, roughly 3 years earlier. An Indian flight from Kathmandu to Delhi was hijacked, redirected to Afghanistan, and landed in Kandahar. Hundreds of Indian passengers were held hostage. It caused massive turmoil across India as people faced life and death uncertainty. Then, in the year 2000, the Red Fort in Delhi was attacked by terrorists. Yet another crisis struck the nation, intensifying fear and turmoil. On September 11, 2001, the Twin Towers in America faced a devastating terror attack, once again shocking the entire world. Because ultimately, the people behind these attacks are driven by a similar mindset. Then, in October 2001, terrorists attacked the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. Soon after, on December 13, 2001, India's parliament was targeted. Within just 8 to 10 months, these major global terrorist attacks took place. Violent incidents that led to bloodshed and the loss of innocent lives. In such a tense environment, even the smallest spark can ignite unrest. The situation had already become extremely volatile. In such times, suddenly, on October 7, 2001, I was given the responsibility of becoming Chief Minister of Gujarat. This was an enormous challenge. At that time, Gujarat was recovering from a devastating earthquake, the largest of the previous century, which had left thousands dead. My first major task as Chief Minister was overseeing the rehabilitation of survivors. This was a crucial task, and from day one after my oath, I immersed myself in it. I was a person who had absolutely no prior experience with government. I had never been part of any administration, never even served in government before. I had never contested an election, never even been a state representative. For the first time in my life, I had to face elections. On February 24, 2002, I became a state representative, an elected representative for the first time. And it was only around February 24th, 25th, or 26th that I stepped into the Gujarat Assembly for the very first time. On February 27th, 2002, we were seated in the Assembly for the budget session. And that same day, it had been just 3 days since I'd become a state representative when suddenly the horrific Godhra incident occurred. It was a tragedy of unimaginable magnitude. People were burned alive. You can imagine, against the backdrop of incidents like the Kandahar hijacking, the attack on Parliament, or even 9/11, and then to have so many people killed and burned alive, you can imagine how tense and volatile the situation was. Of course, this was tragic for everyone. Everyone prefers peace. The perception that these were the biggest riots ever is actually misinformation. If you review the data from before 2002, you'll see that Gujarat faced frequent riots. Curfews were constantly being imposed somewhere. Communal violence could erupt over trivial issues. like kite flying contests or even minor bicycle collisions. Before 2002, Gujarat witnessed over 250 significant riots. The riots in 1969 lasted nearly 6 months. So there was a long history, long before I was in the picture. But that one tragic incident in 2002 became a sparking point, leading some people towards violence. Yet, the judiciary thoroughly investigated the matter. At that time, our political opponents were in power, and naturally, they wanted all allegations against us to stick. Despite their relentless efforts, the judiciary analyzed the situation meticulously twice and ultimately found us completely innocent. Those who were truly responsible have faced justice from the courts. But the most important thing is, in Gujarat, where riots used to happen somewhere or the other every year, but after 2002, in 22 years, there hasn't been a single major riot in Gujarat. Gujarat remains completely peaceful. Our approach has always been to avoid vote bank politics. Instead, our mantra has been together with everyone, development for all, trust from all, and efforts by everyone. We've shifted away from the politics of appeasement to the politics of aspiration. Because of this, anyone who wishes to contribute joins us willingly. We've continuously strived to turn Gujarat into a well developed state. And today, Gujarat is actively contributing toward building a developed India as well.
A lot of people love you. I've got to hear from a lot of them. But there is also people who criticize you, including from the media. And folks in the media have criticized you over this 2002 Gujarat riots. What's your relationship like with criticism? What, how do you deal with critics? How do you deal with criticism coming from the media or in your own inner circle or just in your own life?
Look, regarding what you said about criticism and how I deal with it, if I had to summarize in one sentence, I welcome it. I have a strong belief that criticism is the soul of democracy. If democracy truly runs in your veins, you must embrace it. In our scriptures, it said, always keep your critics close. Critics should be your nearest companions because through genuine criticism, you can improve quickly and work democratically with better insights. In fact, I believe we should have more criticism, and it should be sharp and well informed. But my real complaint is that nowadays, what we see isn't real criticism. Genuine criticism requires thorough study, in depth research, and careful analysis. It demands finding the truth from falsehoods. Today, people look for shortcuts, avoid proper research, and skip deep analysis. Instead of identifying genuine weaknesses, they jump straight to accusations. There's a big difference between allegations and criticism. The references you're giving, they are allegations, not criticism. For a strong democracy, genuine criticism is necessary. Allegations benefit no one. They just cause unnecessary conflicts. That's why I always welcome criticism openly. And whenever false accusations arise, I calmly continue serving my country with complete dedication.
Yeah, the thing you speak of is very important to me because I admire great journalism. And